Okay, go for it. Hit the button. Bring us in.
All right.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to week 6.
Good morning. All right. Lots to talk about this morning.
Did anything important happen
This week?
was there any important players that went on IR?
Oh, no.
Okay, good. I'm just going to leave my lineups the same then.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, what can go wrong?
Hello, everybody.
Good morning. Welcome to week 6.
I'm going to just throw this out there right now. I'm looking at the weather reports and stuff, and I'm just going to say that scores are going to be lower all the way around this week. There's going to be some lower scoring games, and make sure you're playing your guys in domes if you don't.
So if you've got
there's
some
any
questionable
tiebreaker,
starts, the fact that the guy's playing in the dome today could definitely be the reason you play him instead.
Yep, something to think about today, and we'll go over that as we go, guys. But
so much going on this week. It's crazy. There was a lot that happened. So why don't you lead us off, since your homer minute is actually positive.
Positive in that we won, and in that we won exactly how we talked about last week. We said that somehow Tomlin was going to pull them over the finish line, and we're going to get a win, but we had no idea how. And I still don't know how we won that freaking game. Other than Baltimore dropping the ball, 7-8 times?
There's a lot of good
helps.
clips about it, actually.
Yeah, there were a lot of drops in that game. Baltimore kind of gave it to us.
It was like a season worth of lowlights in one clip.
Right.
Just from one game of Baltimore receivers dropping the ball. It was like that video should be shown to Pop Warner kids all over America on how not to catch footballs.
And it was a rivalry game, so it was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it in the moment, you know what I mean? Especially for my buddy Chris, who is out there watching it live. I mean, can you imagine watching that game live with all the ups and downs, and then last-minute win at home, you know what I mean? Rivalry,
I thought about
for
that,
his
and I was
50,
wow, what a
50th
great
birthday,
day.
that was his birthday present to himself, and that's a hell of a present. So cool on all those notes. I'm glad we're on bye this week so we can get our stuff together, because I'm not happy with our team right now. We are so lucky to be 3-2. You know what I mean? Steelers football, we tend to win some games that we shouldn't, and we've kind of won those games now, and I don't know if we're going to be able to do that all season long. So I'm hoping we can figure something out, and that Pickett can take a little step forward. So we won. I was happy. It was great, and I'm still down on my team.
We should have Deontay back after the bye, right?
Yeah, and that should help. And so I'm hoping that that's going to help turn things around, and that's what we were missing and all. But I got this worried feeling in the pit of my stomach. I'm nervous.
And on that note, we can slide right into mine. I was, I was field side for the destruction of my team last Sunday, and I got to tell you, it was the most frustrating part about it was it just didn't look like they even showed up.
I know.
I'm watching them through TV timeouts and stuff like that, and they're just kind of hands on their hips. And I was most disappointed in number 11, because when things, and especially 11 and 4, because when things are down,
you got to tell us who those are, man.
Prescott and Micah. Yeah. And I mean, because I don't want to say their names right now. I'm so disappointed in them. I don't even want to say their names right now. They're just jersey numbers to me. Because they could have been anybody last Sunday.
Yeah.
Those guys could have been anybody last Sunday, and it wouldn't have made a difference, because the way the stadium was just, it was packed, it was loud, every single play was loud. The fans were awesome. They were not lazy at all. Every single play they were on the Cowboys. And when that kind of stuff happens, you need your leaders to kick you in the ass and say, hey, you don't hear any of that, Let's go. Let's fucking go right now. Let's go. Get up. Go. You know, you need to be like getting people. Like, you can't let the other team have all the juice, and that was
Right.
just what happened. The 49ers had all the juice, and they looked awesome.
Yeah, they did.
I mean, they did. But it's interesting though, because there's a couple things I want to say about this. Is like, if you didn't believe in Brock Purdy, like, you should now. Watching from my point of view, there were so many times where he knew where the play was going. There was nobody open yet. He threw to where the opening was going to be. And now a lot of that is him trusting what he's been coached. And then on that note, Kyle Shanahan just beat the crap out of out of Dan Quinn on Sunday, because he knew exactly what Dan Quinn was going to do against his offense, and they knew exactly where the openings were going to be. And Purdy trusted that, it's from what I saw, because he just threw to guys that were not open yet, and he made the Cowboys defense look so bad because they were so on time. It was incredible, and the Cowboys did a really decent job of stopping CMC. He didn't do much, and they forced a fumble on the goal line. Yeah, they had opportunities to get some momentum, and I thought they just did a really poor job of that, and it was disappointing.
And so, do you think they're going to be able to get things together? Because San Francisco's done this to a lot of teams.
Yeah, so I'm not that. Again, it's another one of those games that you can almost throw out, and it's frustrating to have said that twice.
In 5 games.
In 5 games, and it really makes me frustrated for like what they could do in January. Because if you can, just not show up for a road game, and then you have no answers as to like, I guess just this environment's too tough for us today, we can't play.
Yeah.
Is what it seemed like it was. Then you don't want to show up in January either. Like, it's not going to work out well for you. So I don't know. I don't have any good answers. Like, thankfully, we just talk about fantasy football mostly. So if you're worried about fantasy football, you shouldn't be. It was just like, for fantasy football perspective, it was definitely just a throwout game, because they were completely off script 20 minutes into the game.
Okay.
They hadn't been able to get a first down or a stop. So they could have been down worse if they hadn't had that CMC fumble.
And now, of course, the important point: your soon-to-be-born child is now going to be a 49er fan.
We didn't have to talk about it. We didn't have to. Thank you.
I love that. By the way, everybody at work was so impressed with that bet. Like, they're like, dude, that's some balls right there. Like, that's how you bet on your team.
Yeah. And yep. So he's a 49er fan. That's just the way it's going to be. And you know what? I'd rather him be a winner. So.
And on that note,
it was funny though, because I had we're walking out of the stadium, and 49er fans left at basically the same time Cowboys fans did, with about 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter or something like that, on a Dak interception. There was it was a long Dak interception. Most of us didn't even stay for the last 2 touchdowns, or last 1 touchdown, I think it was. You just heard it. We heard it as we were walking out of the stadium, and I had some 49ers fan, talking something to me, and then I said something back to him, and then. And he was like, "How many championships do you have?" And I was like, "Man, this is why you can't argue with people in public and stuff like that, because he's all juiced up, but he doesn't know jack about his team. So I'm gonna I'm just gonna say something to him, and it's gonna go nowhere." But,
yeah.
So yeah, the public service announcement about that is just take your lumps and go home.
Yeah, I mean, I probably have to revisit this, just because I said Dak Prescott wasn't that guy. You know what I mean? He just not. He can't come from behind when his team starts losing. Like, he doesn't respond to any type of pressure. And doing it before doesn't mean like you're the man who can do it. Like, I mean, I'm sure once or twice he's done it in the past. But ever since his injury, he just hasn't really been that guy.
Because he doesn't make those same types of plays anymore. He's just it's funny because Amari called him the Black Kirk Cousins, And I mean, and he is, and he basically is, because he makes the same silly mistakes, and you know, there's times where he'll go out and the game plan's set up and things work out properly, and he just looks like an elite quarterback, and Kirk Cousins does the same things from time to time. From time to time, he goes out and he goes like 25 for 30 for 4 touchdowns and 300 and some yards. And you're like, see, we knew he could do it.
So as far as the Rams go, I mean, I learned a valuable lesson, and I almost did it again this week, was not to ever bet on your own team. Like, just don't do it. Like, you put your emotion in there a little bit, and it kind of like, and I did put some money on the Rams last week, and that bit me, and I almost did it again this week, and I was like, you know what?
This week's a safer week, though.
Yeah, I know.
It's a better week to do it this week.
It is, but I was like, you know what? Just not going to do it anymore. So I went ahead and picked some other teams. But I feel like before last week when I said that this game was going to be their deciding, that's their testament to whether or not they're going to make the playoffs this season. I'm going to have to retract that, because after watching Philly play, that tush push they have, the whatever they
Hold
call
on.
it.
Okay, so real quick, I got before I forget, I hated it. Right, I've hated it because I hate that name. And then I saw somebody calling it the brotherly shove.
Yeah. There you go. That one too.
I'm okay. You know what? We can keep it now. It's like,
so
it just needed a good name.
The brotherly
not the
shove.
bush
That was the one I was trying to remember to say. Like, what was it called? They called it two different things. A
You
tush
call it
push
the
and a
brotherly shove, it can stay. If you're
Yeah.
going to call it the tush push, it's got to go.
But when you're watching it happen in real time, and I pay attention very closely to what the Rams are doing, and a little bit of more closely to the 49ers too, just because they're like the rivalry team. But when I saw that, I was like, oh, they're stealing possessions with that. Like, it's not just quarterbacks. They're like literally stealing possessions, staying on the field longer, making the defense more tired. Like,
yes, their offense isn't set up to just like get chunk plays and first downs. It's set to get to 3rd and 2.
Yeah,
because that 3rd and 2, they'll go for it on 4th and 1. Mm-hmm. Like, that's if you've watched the Eagles play over the last 3 years, that's what their offense does.
So I think they're going to need their loss is going to come from a team that's preventing them to get to 3rd and 2. You know what I mean?
The thing
anytime they turn the ball
ESPN,
over, that's
Rex
that
Ryan.
case.
I'm sorry. Did you see the thing on ESPN with Rex Ryan about how to stop the
No.
tush? Yeah, it was pretty funny. It's watching old guys get down like defensive linemen.
Oh, I've seen a few of those types of clips, but I mean nobody's been able to stop that freaking
to me,
thing. So
it's the way the rules are set up. It's really hard to do it. Like, if a defensive player was still able to jump over the top, because you used to be able to do that. You used to be able to just like dive over the line of scrimmage and meet people in the backfield, and you're not allowed to do that anymore. In fact, like a guy they called I can't remember what game it was in, but I saw a guy just make such an athletic play. Like literally leap over an offensive lineman, and he missed the block, and they made the kick, and they called an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on him for jumping over the offensive lineman. Hey, sorry, sir, too athletic. Gonna get somebody hurt.
Well, but back to the brotherly shove. I mean, like, it's unstoppable for Philly. But I've seen so many other teams try it, and it's like somewhat successful.
It's because Philly has the offensive line that they do.
So good for them.
Right.
Why are we talking about outlawing this play when it's like it's only this one team that's unstoppable doing it?
And that's kind of why I said what I said, is like, as annoying as the play is like, we've had the quarterback sneak, for forever.
Yeah.
So if you want to, and that's why I think I said this in our group chat this week, it's going to be goodbye to the wishbone offense, because I think the only way that you actually solve it is just formationally. Like, you limit the types of formations. Like maybe the I formation's gone too. Because like, when was the last time? How often does a quarterback have 2 running backs line up behind him anymore? That never happens. You never have the I formation anymore.
I hope they don't do that. But
so it's people. I don't know. I honestly I don't really care that much. Like, stop him on first and second down. Don't let him get to third and 1. Don't let him get to fourth and 1.
Yeah, that's
You
what
know?
they're gonna have to do.
Yeah, to me it's like the
So let's get to the game.
I don't like it when we figure out that somebody's figured out some sort of competitive advantage, and then we try and legislate against that.
I agree.
As long as they're staying within the rules.
Yeah.
Like
if everybody was doing it, it was unstoppable
people are
for
trying.
everybody.
Yeah.
Then
exactly.
cool. Then yeah, we need to
Exactly.
outlaw it.
That's a
but
good
it's
point.
just the only this team's unstoppable.
This
Hey,
team
good
with
for
an
them.
elite offensive line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then hey, go get an elite offensive line. You know.
Steal their guys.
All right.
So first up, we have San Francisco 49ers versus the Cleveland Browns. Right now, San Francisco's at -9.5. The over/under's at 36. Money line's at 470 plus 360 if you're betting on the Cleveland Browns. And Kyle Shanahan is 1-8 against Jim Schwartz coach teams.
And that's a thing. I do expect the Cleveland defense to have some success against the Niners, or at least more success than most defenses have had.
I expect it to be a lower scoring game than people might think.
Well, which is why the over/under is what, 37?
Unless the 49ers defense scores today.
I mean,
which is possible because they're going to be who's out there? It's PJ Walker.
Yeah, exactly.
PJ Walker got picked up off the street and told to start because apparently they believe that much more in him than
I don't even remember his
DTR.
name, but yeah, he's awful.
He's a 4th round rookie, and he's a 4th round rookie.
Yeah, so it says it all.
Yeah.
If they actually had their quarterback in there, I would think that the Browns
Watson,
had a decent chance.
Agreed. I'd like to pick him today if they had Watson.
Right, but now as it is, Niners.
What
are
do we
gonna
make
roll.
of that, by the way? Because apparently Watson was cleared to play last week.
Well, and now they're talking that like he might be out for a little while.
It's
So
weird.
I don't know what's going on there.
It's getting weird. Is we getting in like a Kawhi situation from the NBA, like where I don't know if you know that much about that.
No.
But yeah, a few years ago when he was still with the Spurs, he was medically cleared by the team to play, but he wouldn't play, and he had gotten another opinion on his injury and had a different opinion of what was going on, and so he got into like this big dispute with the team, and it went on for a long time. And he ended up not playing for the team again, and getting traded. Anyway, so that was my first thought, was like, what's going on here? Like, that typically doesn't happen. Typically players are trying to play before the team clears them. So if a team clears them and the player doesn't want to play, there's like usually something else.
Something's going on. No, I agree. I'm worried.
So it's weird. Yeah, if you're a Watson owner, and for me, like in Dynasty, I had invested in Amari Cooper, and that was that was one of my big steals, and now I'm playing Zay Flowers over Amari Cooper. I had to bring him up off of my taxi squad, which upsets me. Anyway, the 49ers should still win this game going away.
Right.
Just temper your expectations for, their studs.
Agreed. Hard to sit any of them, but don't expect that big day. And then Cleveland, is there anybody you're playing?
I don't think
I've got
Ford
Cooper.
was
I'm
hurt
sitting
too.
him.
Like, just because of volume and the way that the running back position is in fantasy football, you'd like to be able to play Jerome Ford, but I wouldn't even do that because he was iffy all week. I really think the Browns were just like trying to, scoot by this game. We'll just take an L this week.
Yeah, and they will. So
And they will.
All right. Yeah, that was quick and easy. Next.
Well, who'd you guys? You were all going Niners then, right?
What'd you pick?
So next up, we got Carolina Panthers versus the Miami Dolphins. Carolina Panthers plus 14.5. 47.5 is the over/under. Plus 750 if you're betting on the Panthers, and minus 1200 if you're betting on Miami.
So the most important things to talk about here are just the injuries. Like, we lost Devon Achane to IR for 4 weeks.
At least 4 weeks.
Can
They're
you
talking
check
week
real
11,
quick
but-
on Teron Armstead, the left tackle for the Dolphins? He's been in and out of the lineup, and whether he plays or not is a big deal for the Dolphins. It always is. It's crazy, but anyway. And then on the other side, Miles Sanders picking up injuries week after week after week. Apparently, he's got a shoulder injury right now, and he's another person that we need to get a 9 o'clock update on. Because if he's not going to play, Chuba Hubbard could be pretty decent today.
Could be.
I'm not excited about anybody from the Carolina side except for Adam Thielen.
What's the lineman's name again?
Ooh, I almost picked him up.
Teron Armstead. And then on the Dolphins side, Tyreek Hill, wide receiver number 1, just doing it. And he's going to keep doing it today. And I don't think there's too much to talk about, because I can't believe anybody would pick the Panthers over the Dolphins today.
Nothing definitive yet, but trending to no.
Armstead,
not playing. Yeah.
So, so again, no HN, no Armstead. Jeff Wilson's not going to play today.
Right.
So if you're somebody who picked him up, like you want to drop him real quick, or put him on your IR again.
I was going to say just leave him in IR.
Yeah, well, this guy to my right is more excited about Jeff Wilson than I am. I think they actually like Ahmed better. And he fits their scheme because he's another fast guy. So
I'll agree with that, but they tend to love Jeff Wilson. I mean, this is completely going by last year and how they kept working him in. Every time I thought they were going to phase him out, they kept working him in. I was like, well, they like this guy.
Here's the thing about last year, though. Last year was the first year of their new offense, getting everything together. It's really important to have glue guys like Jeff Wilson, who can tell the guys down the line exactly how they're supposed to be doing things. And I think, and just based on the fact that they kept Ahmed from last year to this year, they kept him as a 4th running back, and they keep giving him the ball every time he's active. I think they want him to be a part of the offense. I think he's just going to be a bigger part of the offense than Jeff Wilson is, because I think he fits what they want to do more. And also based on last year when they were down receivers, those middling guys that we talked about a couple weeks ago that we were wrong about with Berrios and Craycraft, and even their tight ends, Smythe, we just assumed that those guys would pick up more targets. No, they put the ball in the hands of their speed guys because that's what they want to do. And that's when Achane blew up, was when Waddle missed a game. And we just expected when Waddle missed the game, the ball was going to find the hands of more pass catchers. That's not what they're doing. They're trying to put the ball into the hands of their most explosive players. And so that's what I think they're going to do. I think Ahmed is going to have a big day today.
Okay. And not Mostert? I mean, you
both.
Both.
Oh, yeah, both.
I just want to make sure that's what you're
saying.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's hard to, the Dolphins could still, they could still score 40 today. Like, their team is just so fast, and their scheme is just, right now, they're catching the league off guard right now. Because, if you're watching some of their plays, they're not even blocking guys. Like, their guys are so fast, they're putting them in motion, and they're getting guys into position where you don't have to block certain guys on the defensive line, on the edge. And so it works on the most elite defenses too, because they did it to Buffalo. There was a play where I think it was who's the outstanding outside linebacker for Buffalo, Edmonds. They didn't block him, and Achane right around the edge, 10-yard touchdown, just didn't block him.
Yeah. It's a good scheme.
When you've got guys like that. So, and it's not going to work with Jeff Wilson.
Okay. All right. Well, we shall see on that then. And just throwing it out there, we are trying to monitor the weather here. This is one of those games. It's not that big a deal. There is a good wind at 13 miles an hour, but no rain, no nothing else. And usually that cutoff line for when you start to really worry about the weather is about 15 miles an hour. So this is approaching
and also
that.
The Dolphins
so it's not
don't
nothing,
throw the
but
ball deep, really. Tua does not throw the ball very deep.
And then on the Carolina side, who are we starting?
Thielen, old man Thielen. You got to start. You have to start Adam Thielen.
Probably Hubbard and move on.
And everywhere too, because he's even on DraftKings, he's still sub 6,000.
Yeah,
it's insane. But who else are they going to throw the ball to? And I mean, you're going to start Hubbard because he's going to get the work, but you're not going to be very excited about it or what he might do, because the offense just has not looked good under Bryce Young. It looked a little better last week, but still just not great. I mean, I say it looked a little better because they scored points, but a lot of that was garbage time.
What you need in
Oh,
fantasy.
forgot to say hello to Busy. What's up, brother?
What's up, dude?
And also, is he picking the Panthers? Do you have that right?
Do I have that right? Who
No,
are they
he's
playing
not.
against?
He's
Okay,
not.
he's not picking the Panthers.
No, his
I know,
name's
he's
just
picking
up
the-
there. All
Oh,
He's picking the Dolphins. Yeah. you're
okay.
right.
I was looking at your screen over
No,
here.
no,
I was like,
absolutely.
dude, that's ballsy.
Good. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to a fun game.
All right.
Minnesota Vikings versus Chicago Bears. Minnesota Vikings is -3. The over/under is at 44.5, and the money line's at -166, plus 140 if you're betting on the Bears.
And Vikings fans, this is for you.
That's funny. I was looking for the red alert button on there because.
What are you talking about? The game's over.
Well, I'm saying. No, I'm saying this is a weather game right here.
That. Okay.
This is it's going to or a slight chance of rain showers, so it looks like a 27% chance of
game's-
rain, but 19-mile-an-hour winds. This is red alert area.
So here,
like-
check this out. So this game sets up as a fantasy bonanza. However, could be a little sus.
Got it, Chad. Gotcha. I like it.
Because of the weather, and that's a lot of people are on Kirk Cousins this week, and these are the
Yeah.
games where the Vikings go to Chicago, and their offense just doesn't play well in games that they've played without Adrian Peterson.
Right. Yeah, and this has to be a Madison game for them, and
That's what I
Madison
think.
has not been that kind of runner yet. So this is a big test for him.
And the Bears
I'm
defense
definitely
are a defense
playing
you can
him.
run on. So the Vikings, they've been feeding the ball to Madison more the last couple of weeks with the injury to Justin Jefferson. And sorry again, Vikings fans, but like he might not come back this year.
Yeah.
Like, if reading all the tea leaves and stuff, like he might not come back this year. So
They might just shut him down.
So I got to say this real quick. It's so crazy how like fantasy football, a lot of it is luck, right? A lot of it is luck. 3 days, I think it was, before the game happened and he got injured, and in my dynasty league, he got traded
Cool.
from one contending team to another contending team, a team that wasn't expecting to be contending. And he got traded for T. Higgins and 2 first-round picks.
Wow. That feels good.
So better lucky than good, right? Sometimes.
absolutely.
And on the other side, feels real bad.
Yeah.
Feels real
Until
bad.
next year.
Yeah. So, be careful when you're trading. You got to be careful.
Absolutely.
That's for me. So for me, like when contending, I don't want to make moves like that. I don't want to make a move where I'm like a contending team and I'm like, okay, we're gonna go all in. We're gonna throw away some of our future first round picks, like multiple first round picks.
Right.
And I did it in one league, and I'm gonna like talk about that right now because one of the things was like when I traded the 2 first round picks in the other dynasty, he specifically asked me, how do I get your other first round pick? And when I told him how, I just didn't assume that I'd be able to get the guy. So because I got Spears back in that deal, and like he was a 2nd round pick in rookie picks or rookie drafts, which kind of like keeps his value a little down. But if you've been watching the games and seeing how they're using him,
Right.
like he definitely should have been a first round pick. Anyway, I think you want to keep it to like trading for guys like Raheem Mostert, guys that are just having like you expect that they're probably not going to do this again next year. So the person that you're buying them from probably not really trying too hard to
Right.
hold on to them. Anyway, we kind of digressed a little bit.
Never.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're talking about Justin Jefferson, so they're like it's not just in redraft. Obviously, it's devastating, but the implications are probably more far-reaching in dynasty.
Well, let's talk about the more
Immediate.
impact.
Oh, yeah, and-
KJ Osborne. I mean,
And for this game, I think
Madison or not?
Madison. For this game, I think it's got to be Madison and Hawkinson, especially
Yep.
because of the weather. But I also just over the stretch of it, I expect the most impact to be felt by Madison. Like I think they have to get their screen game going. That was we talked about this before Justin Jefferson got hurt. Like what I thought their offense was missing was the ability to dump the ball off to the running back and have the running back just do something special, because Cook did that for years. And even last year when he wasn't at his best. And it's like Cook may not be at his best now in New York, but I find it hard to believe that he wouldn't be outperforming Alexander Madison right now in Minnesota.
I don't know. He looks pretty bad,
but he knows the offense and he knows what to do.
Right.
And, like, he's comfortable with all of the guys. Like, and
in the right place
got,
at the right time.
And just like it's got to be a big deal for like you're catching a screen pass, and the offensive lineman that you're working with. After working with them for so long, you know exactly where they're going to go.
Yeah.
You know their tendencies, who's going to get blocked, who's not going to get blocked, who you have to make miss. And that's got to be a big deal when you're trying to run downfield. On the other side, I think this sets up to be a monster game for Justin Fields.
I think so too.
And man, I have trouble buying into the DJ Moore hype because he burned me so bad for 2 years. I was in 2 years ago. I was in last year, and he just. I sold him for 2 second-round picks in the offseason in Dynasty, and that looks bad right now. Help me. Should is it going to continue?
Maybe. No. DJ Moore, to me, he's always been like one of those hit or miss guys. He shows a ton of promise, but doesn't always get out there on the field and show it from week to week. He'll show flashes as always. So is he somebody that I would want on my team and I'm starting as my wide receiver 3-ish? For sure.
You're not higher than that on him yet?
No.
Okay. Interesting.
No.
Okay.
That's
okay.
He's again burned me too many times where I'm just like, I kind of feel like I know who this player is, and so I
kind of want to believe that the offense is blooming a little bit, and that they're because based on the way that Fields has been getting him the ball, and it's not just little screens and little hitches and slants and stuff like that. He's actually throwing the ball 20 yards downfield, and Fields is really good at that. He's really accurate in the middle parts of the field, the 15 to 25 yard throws. Because he throws very hard and he's accurate. If he's going to keep doing what they like, the last 2 weeks, the way that they've done it is repeatable to me, and it's just a question of whether or not the offense is going to continue to the play caller is going to continue to allow Justin Fields to do it. And I kind of want to believe that that's going to happen.
Well, but for this week, we need to concentrate more on the running backs. Who's going to be running the ball this week besides Justin Fields?
Dante Foreman. And, oh, yeah, apparently we've all been pronouncing his name wrong. It's Dante Foreman. It's not Deontay. Yeah.
We should have learned that earlier in his career because now we don't care.
We don't. You're right, dude. You're 28 now. We don't care. You're Deontay Foreman.
You've been named.
Yes.
Okay,
branded.
so Foreman, you think has a decent game today?
I don't know. I'm not his biggest fan. I'm not.
He's powerful, and
I thought he was
they're
successful
gonna
in
need
Carolina
him.
because they had a really good year offense. Like their offensive line had a really excellent year last year.
Yes, they
every Carolina running back was successful. So I don't think he's going to be that successful today. If I was starting Bears players, it would just be Justin Fields and DJ Moore and Cole Kmet. I would still start Kmet.
And honestly, DJ Moore in this weather, I'd be looking to bench him if I could. You know what I mean?
I can't. I don't think you can.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're in a position where you have to, but
I don't think. Yeah, based on what he's been doing this season, and he only I think he has one down game, and even like his worst game is still like 7 points or something like that. I don't think you can get away from him.
Okay,
I wouldn't do that.
Fair
Brian,
enough.
So yeah.
So who are we picking?
I'm gonna take the Bears at home.
You always take my surprise picks away from me, man. I'm taking the Bears.
Yeah, that one feels bad.
Yeah.
It's-
Well, and honestly, this is a weather game to me. If the weather wasn't like this, I'd be taking the Vikings. But I don't think the Vikings
weather,
offense is
and
going
then
to
also
work.
Kirk Cousins doesn't have his guy.
Yeah.
To save him.
Absolutely, first week without
And I
his
mean,
guy, and it's
and-
this kind of weather, and yep.
People are wondering
take the
whether or
Vikings.
not this is going to be a boost for Jordan Addison for his fantasy numbers, and I think yes.
In the future, yeah.
Well, I mean, what I mean a boost is in like, yeah, he's going to get a boost, but it's going to be like 4 or 5 targets a game, I think. Because they seem to like this guy Brandon Powell. I don't know if you're familiar with him. My uncle picked him up. Anytime my uncle picks up a Vikings player, I have to look into it a little further,
Gotcha.
And he got 6 targets after Justin Jefferson left the game last week. So he could be the guy and not KJ Osborne.
Gotcha.
Which would be frustrating to Osborne managers, guys that bought into the
Well.
last 6 weeks of last season and invested in him in Dynasty, like this guy.
Yeah, honestly, like as far as redraft this year, I'm probably OUT on all the Vikings receivers at this point now.
I would say that.
we'll have to see. We'll have to see if one
The way
proves.
that-
I mean, I'll be watching, but
the
right
Vikings-
now I'm like not invested.
The Vikings throw the ball more than anybody in the NFL. So, and if Justin Jefferson isn't going to be there hogging all the targets, I feel the exact opposite of what you just said, with the exception of times like today where the weather is super bad and they traditionally don't play very well offensively in that building. Like, that's why I'm out on them today. But you might want to pick up both Osborne and Powell, for the next
and
stretch.
see which of the two pans out. That's
It
what I'm
might-
saying. Like maybe one pans out in each. I don't
Justin
know.
Jefferson gets so many targets that they have to go somewhere. They're going to go somewhere. They're not going to just start running the ball 30 times a game. I promise you that's not going to happen. They don't
All
have the
right.
offensive line to do it. They just don't.
Next
All right,
up,
moving on.
next up we have. Hold on, let me hide that real quick. Seattle Seahawks versus the Bengals. Seahawks +3, over under at 45.5. +30 is the money line. -155. You're betting on the Bengals.
All right. And just since the weather has been the theme here, that one's got a slight chance of rain, not too high, and then 10-mile-an-hour winds. So there is weather, but this one shouldn't affect play too much.
The Bengals should have T. Higgins back today, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so.
So, yeah, you can go ahead and sit Trenton Irwin back down. Anybody who got excited about his 11 targets last week, or whatever it was. I think it was 10 targets.
We'll know for sure in about 15 minutes, by the way.
Jamar Chase should have another monster game. I think that's just going to continue. I think the Bengals are another team that throws the ball a lot, and I think they're going to keep throwing the ball a lot. And it's because their offensive line is terrible.
Yeah.
They just don't have the offensive line to run the ball, and it's kind of sucks because if you watch Joe Mixon, he looks fresh.
Really?
Yeah,
Mixon is one of those players that's just never impressed me.
he's never been right, exactly. But if you watching the game, and now it was Arizona, but I saw him play well against Tennessee too, making guys miss downfield, like actually putting his foot in the ground and shifting and making guys miss, and it's something that you've just not gotten used to Joe Mixon doing. He's a
Right.
lower the shoulder guy because he's a bigger running back, but no, he looks really good. He looks fast. There's just no holes, and their offensive line. Like we said, it's just not good enough to be a running offensive line. This is a game that's tough to pick. I think fantasy football wise, just don't be scared of anything. Just start your guys.
Seems like there's going to be a lot of points to be had here.
We're still not. Yeah, I agree. We're still not there with JSN on the Seattle side. People are getting excited about Zach Charbonnet, and I like Zach Charbonnet a lot. I was really high on him going into the draft season, but we've talked about this. Ken Walker is just another level of
Lighten it up.
of explosive. Like, he doesn't have the power that Charbonnet has, but he does have the pass catching ability.
Yeah.
Like, that was way overblown. The Seahawks,
Yeah.
bringing Charbonnet in because he can't, handle the pass catching. I think it's more like that Charbonnet's a bigger back and can handle like more blocking responsibilities. But anyway,
And Charbonnet's going to get touches, but Walker's the man, and just move forward until you see otherwise.
they're coming off a bye, so they should be fresh. Lockett should be good to go. You know, DK has been having a great season quietly. Yeah, start them all. I like Geno today. I like Geno a lot today, actually.
Oh, okay.
Next up, wait, who are we all picking?
This is a tough game. This is a tough game.
I don't know.
I'm going to take Seattle coming off the bye.
All right. I'm going to take Cincy at home.
Oh, Brian's got his first lone wolf. Of the
I
week.
just
I feel bad on
I like
Cincy.
Seattle. That's funny. You're lone wolf on
I
your
know. and on a
divisional foe.
Ugh.
Who we got next? Okay, I'll be right back. I'm gonna get some coffee. Yeah.
Okay.
It's right here.
Oh, never mind.
That's why I was trying to hand
I'm
it
gonna
to
stay
you.
right
We
here.
tried to
Have
offer
some
it to you,
coffee.
brother. All right.
Next up, we have Indiana Colts. Yeah, that's what's next up. Indiana Colts versus the Jaguars. +4 for the Colts. Over-unders at 44. +164 if you're betting on the Colts. And -198 if you're betting on the Jags.
All right. Sorry, I'm looking up the weather real quick because that is the theme of the day.
So, we talked about this on our way over.
There it is.
Anthony Richardson is now looking at season-ending surgery
Yes.
for his shoulder injury.
They're talking about the possibility. Strongly considering the possibility at this point.
The most actionable thing about that is Colts receivers. Colts receivers are going to go up with Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew knows this offense. It's Shane Steichen. They worked together in Philadelphia. When Gardner started in Philly, they lit up the scoreboard. I think Gardner Minshew and Josh Downs are going to have a great fantasy season the rest of the way if that's what happens. Michael Pittman will have a better year too because of it.
Okay.
I think like Colts
Hot.
receivers period, and also Jonathan Taylor to the moon.
Yeah. And it's a good time to pick up those cheap players. These are players that you can get a hold of that now have a uptick for the rest of the season. So
And definitely hold on to Zach Moss.
okay.
I would not let
just
him go.
just because he's earned touches in this offense, even with Taylor
It looks
back.
like it, yeah. They seem to like him.
Yeah.
And the Shane. So again, this Shane Steichen Philly offense likes to use multiple backs,
yeah.
and they like to run the football a lot. So, they just play fast. I think Gardner Minshew, like Anthony Richardson, is a fantasy superstar. So that sucks that he's gone. But I think the Colts overall could score more points, and just overall could be a more valuable fantasy team going forward because of what happens.
Yeah,
At least
for this
just
year,
for this year.
Yeah,
For this
year,
year.
it makes it more interesting.
Yeah,
I
like,
agree.
in the
just
future,
throwing the weather out there, guys, real quick. It is clear, no worries about rain, but 13-mile-an-hour winds, which isn't hitting that 15 mark, but it's really close. So, might affect the passing game a little bit.
And so we talked about the Colts on the other side. Jacksonville, Travis Etienne
Has been looking great.
has been looking great. There's not a split there between him and Tank, at least not yet.
Right, and the big question is Ridley or do you want to go with Captain Kirk?
Now,
man?
this is a rematch from Week 1. So if we're basing it off Week 1, it should be Ridley today. Because this was the game that, like, right out of the box happened, and it was like, oh, Ridley's the guy. Is Kirk droppable?
Yes.
and then we've seen it play out in the weeks since then that Kirk is absolutely not droppable. It's more a question of who are they going to target more, and
Who's the game plan for?
yeah. So I think the game plan is going to be first and foremost Travis Etienne, and then the other guys that should play well today are going to be Ingram and Ridley. That would be my expectation, because there's no Zay Jones again.
And so, are you still starting Kirk?
Yes, you have to, but you're
Gotta throw that out
But you're
there for
looking
people.
back at those
Yeah.
Week 1 results and going, This doesn't feel good. But you got to do it. You have to.
But you look at recent weeks and go, he's looking good. He's playing well.
To me, yeah, and
He's
to
getting
me,
the ball.
To me, him and DJ Moore are in the same category. To
Okay.
me, they're both. You just kind of like
Yeah.
close your eyes, wide receiver twos, because their production is so high that when they actually do hit, it's wide receiver one production. But they also have the ability to be like a poor flex start.
Yeah.
So I would definitely start Kirk. I like Lawrence today at home. I just kind of feel like he's due. He's been playing better. The offense has been looking
Right.
more smooth. They looked a lot less clunky last week, a lot more on schedule. So I think they're just kind of like going to have one of these games that's a boom game here coming up real soon. So if somebody who has Trevor Lawrence, just be patient and keep riding him.
Cool. So you guys
All right.
going Jags?
I am going to go Jags.
I am as well.
All right. So we're all going Jags, and the next up is Washington Commanders. Washington.
I thought that was going to be a tough one for people to pick. I thought we were going to have, some people on the indie side there, but no.
Yeah, maybe we should. Maybe we shouldn't have been so fast to just pick Jacksonville, but they've already beaten Jacksonville once, and I don't think Jacksonville is going to let that. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Did they beat? I'm sorry. Who won a week one? I forget. I'm sorry.
I say?
I think it was the Jags. But
I think
don't
you're right.
remember for sure.
Actually, I think
Yeah.
it was Jags.
All right. So Washington Commanders versus Atlanta
Maybe it is
Falcons. Washington plus 1.5 over unders 42. Plus 100 if you're betting on the Commanders. Plus 120 or minus 120 if you're betting on the Falcons.
All right, fun one to pick here. This is
Oh,
tough.
I have a note on them. Give me a second.
What do you got?
Desmond Ridder has not lost a start at home. Never lost at home in college either.
That is true. He only has
Okay.
9 NFL starts, but he's never lost at home. And he
All
never.
right.
And he while he was at Cincinnati, he never lost at home either. So he just he plays well at home. That's
And
what he
who's
does.
this?
This is the quarterback for the Falcons.
Okay.
Who actually played well last week
He
for the
did
first
play
time?
really well. He looked confident back there.
I mean, he has been awful all year. I actually listened to a bit of our podcast last week earlier, and you absolutely tore apart Ritter last
Yeah,
week.
I did.
And I think he was listening. He was pissed off because he came out and was
He
like,
played like a
Ken?
completely different
Yeah.
quarterback. Watch this.
He really did. So he
was
came out
great.
with a chip on his shoulder and played great last week. So if he continues that kind of play, I mean, that changes the whole outlook for the Falcons.
For Drake London.
And for Drake London and for
Yes.
Kyle Pitts. And
Yeah, Kyle Pitts. It seemed like he's just kind of. There's an injury going on with him that doesn't get talked about. He's got some sort of lower leg injury that's really hampered him in the early part of the season, but he's getting healthier. And it seems like he's just kind of getting more and more and more involved in the offense. But if Desmond Ridder's going to throw like he threw last week, then you can really start to get excited about Drake London. And that's a
Gotcha.
big deal.
yeah, no,
And
you're right.
Because if they can open up Drake London, then Bijan Robinson really is able to start to go to work.
Yeah. The whole offense could open up,
Yes,
basically. So.
and also like you can have both tight ends. Like you can play Kyle Pitts and Jonnu Smith right now. It's crazy. But you can't.
Try not to.
Why? Tight end's horrible. Who are you going to play? Who are you going to play over Jonnu Smith and Kyle Pitts? I tell you, give me 6 names you'd rather play today.
Oh, geez.
You're-
Andrews, Laporta.
And we're done. See,
Kelsey.
and after that, it's a coin flip, and it's just about opportunity. And that's the thing
Yeah.
is both of these guys are getting opportunity. Jonnu Smith hasn't had a game less than 6 targets this year. And, that's what you'll take that at tight end. You tell me my tight end's going to get 6 targets today, I'm in.
Yeah,
If you don't have
can guarantee
Kelsey
that-
and if you don't have Andrews and now Laporta, like if you don't have one of those 3 guys, you tell me my tight end's going to get 6 targets today. I don't care who else you got. I will take my guy. I'll take my chances.
All right.
And
In
so
a dome, so you don't have to worry about the weather this week.
This is this is going to be one of the better games to start players in, I think, because it's these teams are going to score today.
Yep.
I expect them to.
So Washington side, you're starting Robinson. He's been looking good, and you're starting McLaurin. He's been looking good. Is there
So
anybody else that you want to
actually,
start?
the
Well,
Falcons-
Logan Thomas as well.
So actually, the Falcons, that's the one place they've been good is against receivers. So not as excited to start McLaurin or Dotson today as I am to start Logan Thomas
Okay.
and Brian Robinson.
Okay. So, but that means you're
And even-
sitting Dotson and you're
I'm
playing
to,
McLaurin.
I'm trying to sit at both. Like to me, McLaurin's a wide receiver 3 flex this week, and I hope that I have. So I would start Josh Downs over him.
You probably have to start him, but you're looking for options.
You probably have to start him, but today I would rather start Josh Downs. Let's see, who else would I rather start today? I'd rather start like Tutu Atwell today against the.
Wow.
I think it's gonna be a high scoring game over there, and I would rather start. He's even with cutback, he scored in the red zone.
I'm not that low on McLaurin. McLaurin is an elite receiver, and so he's gonna get what he gets sometimes, and he can beat coverage that other people can't beat. He's going to get his. I would agree that it's not going to be. It's a bad environment for him to have a great game, but sitting him over Tutu, like that's a step too far, sir.
Downs, I'm super confident in, but I'm just saying I would like depending on exactly what I needed. And from your wide receiver 3, you want a ceiling more than you want a floor typically. So that's why, because I would have a higher expectation that Tutu would score today than McLaurin. That's why.
All right.
And picking the game, I'm going to stick with Desmond Ridder until he loses at home.
I was thinking the same thing. What about you, Brian? Brian?
I think I'm going to take the Commanders.
The Durs.
God, that's a tough one.
Next up, Saints versus the Houston Texans. Saints are at -1.5, over under is 42. -130 is the money line if you're betting on the Saints, and +110 if you're betting on the Texans.
Dome game, by the way.
So the Texans are going to be without Tank Dell.
Yep.
And the most interesting thing about that to me today is going to be John Mechie. He's got to get more work if Tank Dell is not going to play today.
So done with that guy.
So I'm watching that. He looks good when he's on the field. He does. He looks good when he's on the field.
I know.
And I mean, I don't know all the circumstances. Like I said, I'm probably not dropping him in Dynasty this year. I'm gonna wait it out at least until the off season. But
he's my bottom guy right now in one of my Dynasty teams. He's like, that if I have to cut somebody, he's the one.
No, I'm with you. I keep finding like I have one other spot that I keep playing with,
Gotcha.
But I keep picking up somebody who I don't have any more hope than I have in Mechie. You know what I mean? Because as soon as that person pops up on the waiver wire, he moves right down to that bottom spot. But he's the person I most often go to. Usually the person I picked up in the other spot is someone who might go do something this week. So it becomes Mechie becomes the expendable guy seemingly every week. But anyway, no Tank Dell today. He should get some targets. Like he has to today has to be the day that he gets targets.
Against a tough Saints defense.
Yes, but Lattimore is going to be on Nico Collins.
True.
So that's another. Thank you for bringing that up, because Lattimore is going to be on Nico Collins, and that's another reason that I'm a little higher. I'm a little like excited's not the right word.
Expectant. Yeah, You think
what's intrigued? I'm a little intrigued about John Mechie today because the way that those things line up, and the fact that the Saints' run defense is so good that the Texans are still going to have to throw the ball. But I think this is going to be a difficult day for C.J. Stroud. I think he throws his first interception today.
That's probably a pretty good prediction there.
He's going to have to throw the ball a lot.
Saints rolled last week, so are they going to keep doing that?
They did, but it was such a strange way.
Agreed.
You guys saw the video that I sent you?
Which one?
So there was an interception that happened where it was a great throw by Mac Jones, and the Patriots receiver puts his hands up, catches the ball, seemingly catches the ball, and he didn't really get hit very hard, but he got like, grazed on his shoulder or something like that, and coughs up the ball
Yeah.
and right into the Saints defender's chest.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And I don't think he scored on that play, but he took the ball back inside the 10, and there were like 3 turnovers that were like that, and where it was just like, wow, they're just like, man, like their deal with the devil is over.
All right.
That's what it felt like. It felt like watching like early 1990s, and before New England Patriots.
Yeah.
Like if you're somebody who's old enough, like you're an old enough football fan, the New England Patriots before Belichick and Brady were a laughing stock.
Mm-hmm.
Like they put up like you could just film, like take shots from the New England Patriots back in the 1980s and do a whole NFL Follies film. That's how bad they were, and that's how bad it looked last weekend. It was awful, so bad, and it's 2 consecutive weeks that they've pulled Mac Jones.
Yeah.
Because the game's
Out of hand. Yeah.
Yeah. And to me, like even if the game is out of hand, it's like try some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You only get so many opportunities to play against live opponents. And now you don't even get to hit people all week long, so you only get so many opportunities to actually run your plays in live scenarios. Just keep your guys out there.
Find something that works.
Yeah, seriously. I don't know how in to be on the Saints based on that performance last week. It's
okay.
Like I don't want to put too much into it because to me they didn't do anything spectacular. There were a couple of missed deep shots to Chris Olave. I don't know if you saw those. Both of them were end zone shots too, where Jared Carr just missed him. So and he scored, but Olave was just like this close to having a DJ Moore like day. And so I think that's coming. We haven't had it yet this year, but the Olave breakoking game is coming.
And you're definitely not benching him. And Michael Thomas is
you're not.
Steady on the other side. He's going to get you 9-10 points every week. You know what I mean? And you need that in a number 3 wide receiver.
Yes, he's an excellent number 3 wide receiver.
Yeah,
because he might score too.
And he's going to have touchdown
threat
weeks.
to score.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara, I said this in our group chat.
Mm-hmm.
He still looks awesome. Still looks awesome. Like still looks like another level of fast. Yep. And he's got like he's always been such an interesting combination of speed and power because he has the ability to finish runs. You forget that he's like 6'1" and 215 or 220 or something like that. He's a big dude. He looks great. Like
now,
I'm very excited to have him on my fantasy team this year.
And if you've waited to have him, then you're not benching him for sure. You love having him. You're putting him in. But the question would be Miller. He got some extended work last week. Is he starting to become viable, or is that
only
just
in games like that?
Only in blowout games.
Yeah, like Kamara's too good. Like
Yep.
they're not. And early in the game, it was Kamara.
But even in Kamara's awesome years, he'd have
They're using
Mark Ingram. You know what I mean?
This is different. That was Sean Payton. Like if you watch last year, like I think his line for this game was like 22 carries for 80 some odd yards, and that's against
Which
the Patriots
seems a lot.
defense. That's what he did last year too.
Yeah.
And people were frustrated because he wasn't successful while they were just giving the ball 20 times. It was like, but he had a lot. If you look back at his numbers last year, he had a lot of games with 20 carries. This is a different offense, and that's what. And they don't seem to trust the other guys. Now Jamal Williams is coming back. I'd be more worried about Jamal Williams cutting into his time than Kendre Miller.
Gotcha.
And they do seem to like him pass catching. I think he caught 4 balls against the Patriots, and he took one of them like 30 yards or something like that. But I haven't seen him do anything like special yet.
So, asking for a friend, if you were like truly desperate, and you're filling your last flex spot,
I'm not starting Kendre Miller.
You've got Kendre Miller, or
I would swear to God, I'd rather if
Kendrick
Jamal Williams
Bourne?
is active today. If Jamal Williams is active today, I'd rather play Jamal Williams than Kendre Miller.
What about Kendrick Bourne?
Who do the Patriots have today? The Raiders. I'd rather play Bourne.
Yeah. All right, cool. Thank you. That's kind of where I was
So,
at.
I
but
think this one's going to be a little all over the place.
So I'm picking the Saints in this game.
I'm picking the Saints.
What? Okay, maybe not. Maybe it's not going to be all over the place.
Derek Carr looks fine, by the way.
Yep.
Anybody who's worried about him, he looks fine.
I got a question for you guys. I got this question at work. This person had two quarterbacks to pick from. He had Ravens, Lamar Jackson, and he had I can't remember the other guy. Damn, maybe I can't bring it up because I can't remember who the other quarterback was. But he had Lamar Jackson, he had one other guy, and then he had Jared Goff. Jared Goff was on the waiver wire, and I was like, you need to pull Jared Goff and play him over
This week?
Yeah, over
I wouldn't do that this week.
Lamar Jackson. So that's the advice I gave him, and he was projected like 34 picks. Jackson's already thrown a pick, so I think I was right about that. 34 points. Jared Goff was projected over 30 points, and Jared Goff has consistently been getting 30 points every game. So I threw that out there, and I think
At home. He does that at home.
I think his game log has him over 30 points per game this year.
He has been better this year. He's one of those that on the road you're kind of like, oh, maybe I can start him, but at home you're like, put him in, you know. So
We'll see
When
how
he's on
this
the
goes.
road, it's usually easier to find a better start. But yeah, so like at Green Bay in Week 4, he finished with 14 points and 6 point. At Kansas City in Week 1, he finished with 16.
Oh,
and then
okay.
at home against Seattle, 29. Against Atlanta, 21. Home against Carolina, 33.
Huh.
So yeah,
I don't know what I was looking at.
Like
then.
he is the consummate start him at home, sit him on the road quarterback. Like if you've got middling quarterbacks, you know what I mean. He's like when Jared Goff's at home, you just start him, and then when he's not at home, you see if there's a better start.
Yeah.
Next,
So I would have started Lamar Jackson. In that
Meg-
scenario, by
oh,
the way.
yeah, I don't know how good Lamar's doing right
I'm not starting anybody over Lamar. Lamar had that game, the down game against the Steelers, and if anybody wanted to sell him to me.
now. Next up, we have the Patriots versus the Raiders. Patriots are +3, over/unders 41.5, money lines at +130, -155 if you're betting on the Raiders.
Did you guys see the Monday night game?
Yeah, most of
watched-
it.
I liked
yeah.
it. I thought it was a good game. Did you find that game to be enjoyable? Because
Which
like
game
people,
was it?
people were talking down about that game like it wasn't a very good game. I thought it was a well played game on both sides. Because there wasn't
Again, who was it?
Was it Green Bay?
Green Bay and Las Vegas.
Oh, okay, right.
It wasn't a high scoring game, and Josh McDaniels had a bit of a gaffe at the end, but that's really just like a modern times gaffe, I guess. But when you've got, like, to me, when your kicker's the all pro, you know, and they have the all pro highest paid kicker in the league, you send him out there to kick a field goal when it's within 55 yards.
Yeah.
So, like, I didn't have a problem with that call at all. I had a problem a little bit with their the offense that they were running leading into that call, but because that's me though. I like to stay aggressive. I never like to come out and go, we're just going to run 3 times. I'll never do that.
But there are times when you need to do that.
No, they're not. If you want to lose, no, there's never a time to do that, dude. There's never a time. There's a time when you go out there and you kneel 3 times. But if you're going to, if your option is not to kneel 3 times, you need to be attacking your opponent.
All right.
Ravens just got to pick. Yeah. I'm playing my defense, Ravens defense against you, and they just got to pick. I'm like, yeah.
Yay.
Yay. You got that Christian McCaffrey, though. I'm sure he'll pull a freaking monster.
He didn't
game.
last week.
Let's hope.
So we're all going Raiders, or one of you guys picking Patriots?
Oh, God. Do I have to pick a team here? Yuck.
I just don't trust Bill Belichick anymore, not at this point.
And yeah, I know, right? It's and this is one of those games where traditionally it's Bill Belichick versus a Bill Belichick disciple, and he destroys them historically. Like it's not close. I want to say it's like Belichick has almost 40 wins and they've got sub 10.
I'm still going Raiders. I don't trust them this year.
Yeah, I know.
But that is a good point of note.
It's their offense. it's the Patriots offense. Like their defense, even sustaining injuries, they were keeping them in the game against the Saints, and they just got their back broken by the offense over and over and over again. So I can't pick them either. I'm going to take the Raiders at home again.
Picking the Raiders just feels bad.
I kind of like it.
Really?
Are you going to go Patriots then?
No, I'm going to go Raiders.
Oh, well, next up we have the Philadelphia Eagles versus the New York Jets. Philadelphia is -7. Over-under's at 42.5, -298 if you're betting on the Eagles, and +240 if you're betting on the Jets. You might want to pick the Eagles and swallow the points on this one.
Yeah, definitely taking the Eagles here. Jets, I mean, Zach Wilson played a little bit better last week,
He has played better every single week. And
So-
look,
Are
go
we
ahead.
starting to get some confidence in him?
I'm so excited for Zach. I'm so excited for Zach Wilson. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And like, you know what sucks is that like the only quarterback in the league that gets more criticism than Zach Wilson is Dak. Like I swear, like that's after being the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, being a starting quarterback in New York, and crazily it seems like more for the Jets than the Giants. And maybe it's because like the Jets haven't won in 50 years, but it's like when you're the quarterback of the Jets, like it's a big deal. There's so much pressure on these guys. They've washed out so many quarterbacks, and he looks like he's getting more and more confident every week. And I thought, like I called a big game coming from them. I really feel like that if their offensive line hadn't made so many mistakes last week, they would have happened, because they were close. And the offensive line just kept putting them in holes. They kept getting into 1st and 15, 1st and
Right.
20. There was a lot of penalties against the offensive line last week. They really need to clean that up. And that's the only thing that makes me cautious about picking them to win today. And the reason I say that is because the Eagles are actually down Jalen Carter, their big defensive tackle,
Okay.
and their number one cornerback, Darius Slay, is not going to play today. And they're already down Vontae Maddox for the season. So they don't have anybody to cover Garrett Wilson today.
Good. I want Garrett Wilson to actually do something.
You know what I want?
I'm sorry. Chris Olave, I said that him and Derek Carr were really close. Garrett Wilson was really close too. They missed just really, really, really closely missed a couple of big plays, and Garrett Wilson had a drop.
What?
Yeah.
No. Sorry, I'm trying to find this.
I want that next gen stat on all games. that overlay.
great.
That is fun to watch.
Yeah.
I'm like, who am I? It just makes it easy to pick out your fantasy players when you're watching it that way. You're like, oh, there he is. Oh, there he is. Like on the
There he
screen.
is,
Like
yeah.
it's just,
Yeah, if you don't know what we're talking
guy.
about, on Prime, you have a choice of how you want to watch the broadcast, and you can watch the next gen stats version of the broadcast.
And it's basically the same. They just put the cursors, or not cursors. They put the it's like watching Madden.
Yeah. I loved it, so I've been enjoying it.
They got
That's
to
how
put
I watch
like
on Prime.
they should put like those Apple Watches on the players so that we can track their vitals too. He's exhausted. He's not going to score on this play.
That's funny.
hey, I wouldn't be surprised if that's coming up. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Or
So-
putting those chips in the pylon so they know exactly when the football crosses, like things like that. Like,
Oh, I thought you meant the Apple Watches.
No,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
XFL will do that.
Well, no, I'm not surprised that they'll do that when that comes in the future, along with the chips and the pylons and chips in the football. Just calibrate them 3 inches back, whatever it is, 8 inches. You know what I mean? And really get an idea of whether or not that ball crosses. But
Crazy.
certainly, probably.
It surprises me that they haven't done that one yet. I don't understand why they haven't. Because that's just such a stupid thing to try and like, because the goal line, there's so many bodies in there. Like, just use GPS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, agreed. I just throwing it out there real quick. The weather is 12 mile an hour winds, but no other weather to speak of. So shouldn't affect things too much. Just a little bit windy.
Brotherly shove should be in full effect on that. So.
Right.
And the wind,
When does it
honestly, with these
change
these two quarterbacks, the wind's going to affect Jalen Hurts more than it's going to affect Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson has a rocket arm.
Okay.
So next, and we're all going to Eagles. Next up is
No.
No.
Ken, go Jets.
I'm gonna take
All
my
right.
boys. I'm gonna take the Jets.
I hope you're right. I'm rooting for you on that one. I don't have the balls to take them, but I'm rooting for you.
I thought the Eagles could have lost last week.
I think they could have lost every week. It's funny. Like the Eagles,
Yeah.
they're winning.
Except for that Tampa Bay game, they ran away with that game. But
they don't look great doing it. It seems like they're always, the other team is always in it in the fourth quarter.
that's because it's weird. Like, so last week they got Dallas Goedert more involved in the offense,
Right.
and then Devontae Smith just disappeared.
Yeah.
You know.
Sorry about that if
and
anybody
AJ
listened to me
Brown
there.
had a decent game, but the monster games come out of the running game. Like, that's what you can count on right now. You can count on Jalen Hurts getting his brotherly shove touchdown.
Yep.
He's going to get one that he's going to steal from DeAndre Swift. And DeAndre Swift is going to get enough work that you should play him as an RB2. And then after that, the pass catchers have just been like, roll a die. Roll a die to decide a guy, because that's like Devontae Smith's had 2 monster games, AJ Brown's had 2 monster games, and Dallas Goedert has had 1 monster game. But they haven't been able to do it together.
AJ's been pretty solid all
He's
season.
been good,
Yeah.
but I'm talking about monster games. I'm talking
Okay.
about those, like that wide receiver 1 of the week type of game.
Right.
And their offense has the potential to have multiple guys do it. They had 2 receivers finish in the top 10 last year. They're just not doing it this year. Like, they had 2 guys finish in the top 10 last year, and Dallas Goedert was like tight end 4 or tight end 3. So
I'm looking at AJ's numbers though, and you're not disappointed in AJ.
No, I'm not saying you're disappointed.
15 points, 7 was his down week, 22, 38, 19.
Yeah. No. You're not super disappointed, but AJ Brown was also your number 1 receiver that you selected.
For
So
sure.
you need more than 12 and 7.
No, for sure. But those are number 1. Those are wide receiver.
The 12
1
and
numbers.
7's bad.
Like
those
those are going to happen with.
That's
Jay.
an elite number 2.
Okay, but I mean, I can look up Justin Jefferson. I bet you the numbers aren't that different.
They are. They're all 19 or above every week.
I just I don't see how you could beat Philly with that time of possession with the ball. With the way they're able to.
The Jets can run the ball.
The way they can just.
That's the thing, is the Jets have the ability to run the ball, and Jalen Carter's not going to play today either. The Eagles have been a little susceptible against the run this year. More so than
Brees Hall.
Yeah, I like Brees Hall today.
Brees
I
Lightning.
like Brees Hall today, and I like Garrett Wilson today. Oh, and also Tyler Conklin. The Eagles, you can attack them with tight ends, and the Jets have a couple. The Jets do like to throw the ball to the tight end, and that was another thing that I liked about the progression of Zach Wilson, is he was finding Tyler Conklin up seams in the middle of the field. Like, he was gashing the Broncos defense. So really excited to watch that one today. Go Jets.
Yeah. Okay. So next up is Arizona Cardinals versus the LA Rams. +7 for the Cardinals. Over/unders at 48. +260 if you're betting on the Cardinals. -325 if you're betting on the Rams.
Why would you be betting on the Cardinals? No.
Only if they're playing against the Cowboys.
So the Cardinals running back situation is weird. James Conner went down last week. I watched that play happen, and it did not look good. Like, I immediately...
Like, it's going to be a while.
I immediately was like, bye James Conner. Like, he went up, he got hit, and his body went up, head over heels, and when his leg went up into the air, it flopped, like that uncontrollable,
right.
And I was like, oh, that's bad. And for me, when I saw it, I thought it was like season ending. And then for them to the report after the game was like, yeah, he's feeling better. he's feeling okay. Was I think what I read.
Is he on IR yet?
Yeah,
yeah, he is.
I think he is. I'm pretty sure he's out for 4 weeks at minimum. But like I said, that looked bad. So like, it would really, really shock me if James Conner misses less than like 6 weeks.
Looks like Tannehill's out.
There's a weird situation going on because if you've watched both players play, DeMarcado is the much more explosive, exciting player. But the Cardinals came out and announced Keontae Ingram as the number 1 running back on their depth chart this week.
Did they? I did not catch that.
Yeah, that was when I ran to the waiver and picked him up in Top Gun. Was like, really? They're really like, because I put a bid in on DeMarcado, and then I saw that announcement and I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. But you got to pick him up because the Cardinals offense, it's going to give one of the running backs a bunch of work. So as much as I like DeMarcado, I think it's going to be Keontae Ingram today. I don't expect him to have a bunch of success. I think the Cardinals are going to be behind. They're going to have to throw the ball a lot. The Rams did a much better job against Devontae Smith than they did against A.J. Brown. So I would lean towards Michael Wilson having a bigger day than Marquise Brown. But you have to start Marquise Brown. He's been so good this year.
Yeah.
And that frustrates me as a guy who's been out on a Marquise Brown. Like leaning on him on my roster as a wide receiver too. But he's been that. He's been a wide receiver too that you can count on all year long. And so you're jamming him. Like I wouldn't get cute and sit him today. And Stafford is going to make it so that they have to throw.
Yeah. Stafford is definitely one of the guys that I targeted this week. I think Stafford's going to have a big game. Mm-hmm. Any of my leagues that I'm streaming quarterbacks, this is my quarterback this week, so I've got him in several places.
Thank you.
I'm excited. I think he's got a good week coming here. I think the Rams are going to roll. Despite the Arizona Cardinals looking better. Looking better than what we expected them to look.
I think Cooper Kupp's going to score 3 times today.
I think I honestly think the Eagles, and I probably should have talked about this in my minute. I think the Eagles really took that time of possession away for them to really find a rhythm together, like the synergy between Kupp, Nakua, and Stafford.
Yeah, and I think today they're going to roll.
And I think today they're going to find it.
And that offense is good. They are good. They are actually good, and they've got real weapons around Cooper Kupp that they didn't have last year. Yeah, I think it could be like if you're a Rams fan, could be a real fun day of football.
But it is a divisional game, and you know how divisional games go.
We don't really struggle against the Cardinals.
They don't.
The only team we struggle against is the Niners, and the Seahawks give us fits, but they usually don't come out on top. So anybody picking Cardinals?
No, sir.
All right. So next up, we got the Detroit Lions versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Detroit Lions -3, over under at 42.5. The money line is -166 if you're betting on the Lions, and +140 if you're betting on the Bucks.
This is my favorite game on the slate.
Just pause real quick. It's 9:00. I just wanted to throw the injury report out there.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to read all of them. I'm just going to try to do the ones that were maybe last second or we weren't sure about. Because we all know some of these, like Daniel Jones has been out for a few days. We know Jeff Wilson's out. Roshan Johnson's out, if you didn't know that. And Khalil Herbert, so that's why we were talking about Devontae Foreman earlier.
Dante.
Idiot. Keontae Ingram is in. Elijah Mitchell's in. Some of the outliers there. We all know Tank Dell's out. Robert Woods is in, if anybody cares. T. Higgins is in. So T. Higgins is one that you might have been wondering about. He is in. And Marquise Brown is still expected to play. And tight end Sam Laporta is expected to play. That was a big one. So you can breathe a sigh of relief if you are a Laporta manager. He is probably going to play. And
probably going to play well.
Dawson Knox is in too. And Dalton Kincaid is still questionable. Okay.
Are we caring about Bills tight ends yet?
Not yet.
Okay, I didn't think so. Let's make sure. And that was your injury update.
All right.
That was a good choice.
we try to keep that as close to 9:00 as possible for you guys. So if you guys are wondering, what's going on with the injuries, 9:00, we will throw that out there. And if you have any specific questions, please give them to us. We'll answer all of them.
Willis is in for the Titans because of that injury, the quarterback. Anyway,
Woo, Malik Willis, go, baby. Go.
So I interrupted you. Sorry. Your favorite game of the week.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, this is my favorite game of the week because the Buccaneers are that team that's better than everybody thinks they are. And they're at home today. The Lions don't play that well on the road. Who are they missing today? I feel like the Lions are missing somebody today that we're not talking about.
Amon-Ra is in. We were worried about that.
Yeah, they're just a little beat up. I guess that's what it is.
Jahmyr Gibbs is out.
Yes, no Gibbs. There you go. It's no Gibbs today.
So all Montgomery again.
Yeah, and that's where Tampa Bay has actually been susceptible, is on the run. They've been
Which
weaker.
is different.
It's traditionally they've been, really, I say traditionally, over the last couple of years, they've been a very difficult team to run against.
Yep.
But teams have been able to do that this year. But they've been good against the pass. So, and with that and Jared Goff's struggles on the road, I really like their chances today. And Mike Evans is going to play, so they're full powered. The thing that I'm watching, and you may have noticed I picked this guy up in our redraft league in Top Gun, is I'm watching Trey Palmer today. He's up over 70% of the snaps in the last 2 games. He's scored twice already this year, both times inside the 10-yard line. They like him a lot. I think he's becoming their third wide receiver, their slot guy.
Okay.
So excited about that guy.
All right. Somebody to put on your radar.
Yeah, and the Lions are really beat up in the secondary. No Brian Branch today. That's who it is. That's the big one. No
Okay.
Brian Branch today. They're missing a corner too. I'd have to look that up. But their secondary is really beat up. I expect the Buccaneers to be able to throw the ball successfully today.
Okay. So Evans and Godwin, start them up.
Yep.
All right.
Oh yeah, and I was really, and I think I said this last week to Chris Godwin managers to just be patient. Just it's coming. And then he had a big game. Like Evans did get hurt in that game, but Godwin was getting his targets before Evans got hurt. Him and Baker are just starting to get on the same page. I think that Mike Evans being the guy that can jump up and catch the ball anywhere probably made him just a more friendly target for Baker to start the season. So
All right.
I like Godwin is a buy low. If you can get him on your team, he's going to be an excellent wide receiver too the rest of the year, I think.
There you go.
So are you going Bucks then?
I am going Bucks today.
All right. I can definitely see taking the Bucks here. This is one of those really tough games to pick. I'm going to go ahead and stay on the Lions. They have been looking good, and I think they might be one of those elite teams this year.
I like the Lions a lot.
Yeah.
I do like them a lot. I think they're they feel like a team that can definitely get through the wild card round this year. They're good
no
enough.
weather concerns in this game. 10-mile-an-hour wind is the only thing, but other than that, just partly cloudy and nice. So
Yeah, just a little windy in Florida today, but
across the country, it seems like.
So next up we have the New York Giants versus the Buffalo Bills. New York Giants plus 15. Over-unders at 44. Plus 800 if you're betting on the Giants. Minus 1350 if you're betting on the Bills.
no Daniel Jones. But Saquon Barkley is expected to play. I don't know what's going on in New York, dude. Are they what are they doing?
Nobody knows.
What are they doing?
Okay. Oh, sorry. Throw this out here at the beginning. Definite rain showers in this game. So 8
Josh
mile an
Allen
hour
don't
wind.
care.
So the wind is just kind of so-so. But it looks like there's going to be some pretty steady rain. So we're going to have a wet ball out there. Probably a messy game of some kind.
So you probably want to, even though, well, we already talked about this, and we were right about it last week. Like, if the Bills' opponent is expected to score and challenge them, start Gabe Davis.
Right.
If they're just going to roll over people, sit Gabe Davis.
Right.
When those games happen, actually, it's you sit everybody but Diggs. Like you play Diggs, you play Josh Allen, and then you close your eyes and play James Cook, and that's it. That's really it. That's all you. And really in this entire game, which is crazy because like the Bills are just losing pieces every single week on defense. They lost Matt Milano last week. Like he's an All-Pro linebacker. He might be the best middle linebacker in football, and gone for the year. They lost Tre'Davious White the week before that. They're taking hits, but I don't think the Giants are going to be able to take advantage. I still think the Bills are just going to roll right over them.
Yeah, and obviously Vegas thinks the same. Who is starting with no Daniel Jones? I didn't even look that up.
Tyrod Taylor.
Tyrod, that's right. Tyrod, he holds onto the ball. He's not going to turn the ball over. He's actually going to be fairly
should be good
competent
for Barkley.
for what they're trying to do. Should be good for Barkley. Yeah, actually, Tyrod gives me a little confidence there. I mean, obviously, Bills are still going to
Their
roll
offensive
there,
line's so
but-
terrible. I have no confidence in them.
But,
and Von Miller is back, right, for the Bills. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This first
it's-
week back,
It's gonna be
right?
a sack party for sure. Which is every week against the Giants. So I feel bad for Taylor. He's just gonna get annihilated tonight, I think.
Sorry, I'm looking. Oh shoot! It's not
They
on.
should have flexed that game out. That's the night game, right? They should have flexed that game out for sure.
Is it the night game?
Yeah. They should have given us that Bucks Lions game as the night game. That would have been an excellent primetime game. Because then it would have been really hard to pick Baker over the Lions in primetime.
So we're all going Bills then, right?
Yeah.
Let's move on. Cowboys versus the Chargers. Cowboys -1.5. Over-unders at 51. Money line -125 if you're betting on the Cowboys, and +105 if you're betting on the Chargers.
Revenge game.
For
Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Chargers.
San Diego
So-
Chargers.
Yeah. The Los Angeles San Diego Chargers.
Yeah.
So this should be a high-scoring game. It should be a high-scoring game. This is going to be a much different environment than the one the Cowboys just came out of because they're going to be at SoFi Stadium, which, in my experience, is a very Cowboy-friendly place. There were definitely more Cowboy fans there than there were Ram fans when I was there last year, and the Chargers have much less fans than the Rams do.
Yeah.
Do the Cowboys, where are they playing that game at? Are they
So-
going, the Rams and Cowboys are playing this year together, right?
No.
No?
Oh,
I
yeah,
thought-
in Dallas.
They're in
Yes,
Dallas?
They're in
Okay.
Dallas, yeah. You know what's coming up? What's coming up soon? And, we didn't look at it at all. The Steelers are coming to L.A.
Are they really?
to play the Rams
This year, huh?
in, 3 weeks.
I wonder how much tickets are.
I do, too.
Too much.
Oh, they're all too much.
Yeah.
But you know what's actually, they're probably not because SoFi is the stadium to go get standing room only tickets at.
Oh, really?
Oh, for sure. When I went there, I told Roxanne, I was like, I could definitely see myself just standing here because it's perfectly set up. The area that you're gonna stand in, there's bars all over the place where you could just sit down and still see the field, and you can't see it's not a great view of the field, but there's a giant jumbo screen right there, and then when you walk up, you get a perfect view of the whole field, the long view of the field. So it's a great place to hang out.
Nice.
Yeah. So if you want to go experience a football game, SoFi Stadium is excellent. Get a standing room only ticket and go up there and just have a few drinks and have a good time. But yeah,
How much do those typically run?
under $100.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So all we got to do is give you gas to drive us there.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I wanted to talk about it after
Okay,
we're
yeah,
on
well,
air
let's
today.
talk about it.
Definitely.
Okay.
So yeah, maybe we'll do an on the road podcast.
That'd be fun.
That would be different.
So yeah, so
Lot of
I
notes.
expect this to be a home environment for the Cowboys. This is another matchup where it's the offensive coordinator has a tremendous amount of experience working against the defensive coordinator with Kellen Moore versus Dan Quinn. So you wonder, is Dan Quinn going to win this matchup? Because he certainly lost last week.
Right?
Yeah, I talked about the no energy that the Cowboys had last week, but really the reason that they got pummeled so bad was because the 49ers just knew exactly where to go with the ball.
Yeah, you're saying that.
There was no hesitation from Purdy at all. And when he was dropping back, he wasn't looking at clear, throwing lanes, and the Cowboys. He got rid of the ball so fast that Micah Parsons just wasn't a part of the game. There was no time where Purdy had to go drop back. Oh no, it's actually not there.
Right.
What do I do now? It was just there all day. And
So is it going to be there for Herbert?
I don't put Kellen Moore on the level that I do Kyle Shanahan.
Okay.
Kellen Moore's had success in Dallas. But Dallas has had success offensively for a long time now. It's been a long time since we looked at Dallas and we're like, we don't want any of those pieces in fantasy football,
Right.
20 years or something like that. So I'm not ready to say that he's a superstar yet. And he hasn't done anything with this Chargers offense so far, other than throw the ball to Keenan Allen 20 times a game.
It's been nice.
But he hasn't done anything with any of the auxiliary pieces that makes you go, oh, the Chargers got a huge boost, when they signed Kellen Moore.
They get Eckler back this week.
They
too,
get
right?
Eckler back this week, but again, that's just to me, Josh Palmer needs to have a game. Like Josh Palmer has a big game, or Quentin Johnston has a big game this week, and I'm like, okay, maybe they've got something going on
Right.
in LA. But right now, it's all Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler, and they already had that. But he has been getting Keenan Allen the ball downfield, which is
Right.
which is different from what we're used to with Keenan Allen.
Yeah, he has been used a little differently this year.
That being said, I'm going to put my money on my guys, and I'm going to take the Cowboys in this one at home.
Now, are there any receivers other than CD that you're starting?
No. So fantasy football wise, the Chargers, we know they lost Mike Williams a couple weeks ago. Josh Palmer did not have a good game, right out of the gate, but that's what we're hoping for. Like he didn't immediately become like a target, but they've had a week off. We're hoping that that their offense is ready to go. I would start Josh Palmer, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler. George Kittle blew up the Cowboys so bad that in fantasy football rankings and stuff like that, the Cowboys are now looked at as a good matchup for tight
Right.
ends. Don't believe that. Kittle caught 3 balls for 60-some yards and 3 touchdowns. It was like I said, it was just Kyle Shanahan knowing exactly how to beat Dan Quinn's defense. Gerald Everett and Donald Parham are not George Kittle, and that's not going to happen tomorrow. I would not be I would not be leaning into. I would start Gerald Everett because he just seems to get the ball a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's going to get 5 or 6 targets, and so he could score. But I would not be excited to start Chargers tight ends tomorrow. And on the Cowboy side, Pollard's going to be fine. CeeDee Lamb is going to get a blow-up game here. He was the one player who actually looked like he was showing emotion on the field last weekend. He was mad. He looked mad the whole game. And so I feel like there's a squeaky wheel coming for him.
Gotcha.
He's gonna get his targets, and this makes sense. This just makes a lot of sense.
It feels like this is going to be a fun, high-scoring game. You know what I mean? It really feels that way. So I'm sure it'll be 12-10, but still.
So, where are you going? Where are you
I'm taking the Chargers.
I'd say 13-10.
I'm also
13th.
picking the Chargers. I want to see. I mean, I kind of feel like that San Francisco game exposed them a little bit. So we're gonna go now to our Thursday night game. Jags versus the Saints on Thursday night.
Oh,
Jags
man.
-1, over under 42.5. Money line -115 and -105 if you're betting on the Saints. 2 minuses.
So hard to pick a week in advance, man. 'cause,
It is, yeah. So assuming that
those
nothing,
are 2 teams I really want to see this week to see how they do, so I know what my opinion of them next week is. So really tough. Twist my arm. I guess I'm going to take the home team Saints.
And I am coming around to the Saints.
Right.
They're starting to look a little better. They're definitely another level of potent with Alvin Kamara.
They're starting to look like what we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the year. At the
Agreed.
beginning of the year, we thought, this could be this really good team, and we were just like, what is this?
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden we're hey.
And I think that what that is because I think because Alvin Kamara is 28 and he's had a couple of less than max efficiency years. That people were just kind of down on him and not expecting him to be like the catalyst of the offense. But the last couple weeks with him in the offense, and it's a completely different
Yeah,
offense.
changed everything.
They're able to move the ball. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm going to take the Saints too at home. Like I think if the Jaguars were at home, I would pick them. But the Saints and their rushing defense, and that place is going to be loud. It's going to be a difficult place for the Jags to play.
Right on.
So, with that, as we're getting ready for DraftKings, I did want to throw out there one of the theories I had that I came up with while watching the Cowboys Niners game. A lot of injuries started happening on the Cowboys side, and it made me wonder if how many of those were true injuries and how many of those are players that just checking out. And they're like, that's like the only way they can like respectfully be like, I'm done playing this game. Is just like to fake an injury for a little bit and just get off the field. And so it's something I'm going to be paying attention to, like in more blowout games, or if athletes all of a sudden in blowout games on the opposing side, the side that's getting blown out, are they all of a sudden getting injured? Or is this their way of subtly just bowing out and then trying to keep like respectful, like if no one's gonna fault me for walking off the field for an injury versus, just walking off the field.
I don't know how conscious a decision that is, but definitely if you're getting hurt in a blowout, normally you'd be like, get me back in there. And I'm like, it kind of hurts, coach.
Kind of hurts.
I can see that little difference happening there. And it might not even be, something conscious that they.
I think it's a conscious thing.
Yeah.
I think it's like I don't want to play anymore. How do I get off the field? You know what I mean? That's what I think that is.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Just something to keep an eye out.
So, yeah, I get that. But one of them was just like, it's frustrating because he gets hurt all the time, and that's Van Der Esch. And it was another, like, I think it ended up just being like a stinger or something like that. But it's always like neck related with him, so it's always scary. Anytime he goes down, it's like they try not to move him every time he goes down because he could have a serious neck injury. But yeah, that's interesting. So
who's ready to go first on their DraftKings?
Well, who's our winner last week?
Oh, that was me.
Ken finally won one. All right.
Finally won one. Yes, finally lined up.
And just so we know, the record is I've won 3 and they've each won 1. Just throwing it out there.
You had a terrible last week, though. So.
Yeah.
I did.
Okay, so this week I am going to ride at quarterback Matthew Stafford at 6,100. I liked what I saw against the Eagles in flashes. The Eagles are a tough team. Stafford didn't have enough time because that Eagles defensive line was just keeping pressure on him. The Cardinals are not going to pressure him today. I really expect this to be the day that Stafford throws 3 or 4 touchdown passes, and I expect Cooper Kupp to catch more than one.
I agree.
At running back, I've got Alvin Kamara at $6,800. The Saints, like we talked about this earlier, they're just giving Kamara the ball. They're going to feed Kamara the ball a lot. Jamal Williams is supposed to be back today, I believe. Is that correct?
I think so.
But I really don't expect him to eat a bunch into what Kamara has been doing. I still expect him to get 20-plus opportunities. And against Houston, that should be pretty good. Then at $6,400, I've got the number 1 running back in fantasy football,
Yeah. Hard not to.
Raheem Mostert.
Yep.
Everybody knew that, right? Everybody knew that he's the number 1 running back in fantasy football.
Why wouldn't he be?
Why wouldn't he be, right? Yeah. So, yeah, no HN. And we talked about the fact that the Dolphins, they seem to really just like be focusing on their speed guys in their offensive scheme right now. So I would expect Mostert to have a full workload unless he gets hurt, which he tends to do because he is made of glass. So, buyer beware. But $6,400 for the number 1 running back in fantasy football seems like too good of a deal to pass up. At wide receiver, I've got Cooper Kupp at $9,000 because that's too cheap for Cooper Kupp. To stack against him, I've got Marquise Brown. And like we talked about, I'm not excited about his upside today because of the way the Rams have played against smaller receivers this year. They've done really well. They held down Tyler Lockett too, if you remember. but he's 5,300, so you have to. Like, he's a number 2 wide receiver this year. I don't believe he's scored less than like 14 PPR points in a game yet, so you have to play him for 5,300. And another guy you have to play because he's too cheap is Adam Thielen at 5,900. And then to finish off my lineup at tight end at 3,500, I've got Logan Thomas. In my flex at 4,800, I've got Drake London. And then my defense today, the Cleveland Browns at 2,200, which is kind of a punt, but their defensive coordinator has a lot of success against Kyle Shanahan. So
Yes,
I
he does.
expect that game to be low scoring today.
Yep. And I'll just say that that's my defense as well. 2,200. It's the second lowest on the slate. Really allows you to fit some stuff in there. I went pretty different. I shared Raheem Mostert with you, but other than that, I think we're different all the way around.
Cool.
Cup. Hard to get away from Cup this week.
It is. I couldn't do it in cash or
he's going to be
tournament,
great.
actually.
Okay, so where are we different? Quarterback. I'm going to go with Gardner Minshew for just 5,000. He's just mispriced right now, and he's going to have at least 15, 20 points, and at 5,000, that's great. And he could do more. Mostert we talked about. Ken Walker I think is going to have a good week this week against Cincinnati. I like that. Bring back the other way. I've got Jamar Chase on the other side to go with Cup. So Cup and Chase together feels good. To afford that, I've got Josh Reynolds in there at 4,500. I had somebody else in there, but took him out because of a weather game. So I've got Reynolds in there now. Zach Ertz at 3,600 seems a little bit cheap, especially with the Rams being a little susceptible at the tight end spot. Chuba Hubbard is only 4,300, and he's got the starting role this week. Now, granted, that might not be great, but it's a great starting role because they are going against Miami. I don't know what that game script's going to be like, but he's in a position where if he can get me 12 points as a starting running back, touching the ball 15 times, I think he can do that. And then Browns D. What you got, Ray?
So some of this is along the lines of Ken, but I didn't pick up Cooper Kupp. I didn't pick up Cooper Kupp because it's always painful for me to pay that much money for any player. But I do have Matthew Stafford as quarterback, Mixon as my running back from Cincinnati, Swift from the Eagles, Ayuk. I have Evans. I have Reynolds, Goddard, Thielen, and the Vikings defense.
All right.
I kind of went for players I felt like were going to have a bigger game than expected this week. I expect them to all get over 10 points, so we'll see what happens. Well, excluding the Vikings.
I like that.
So for my tournament, I guess it's my responsibility to snake it back. I went again with Matthew Stafford, Madison as my running back, Mostert for my other running back, Atwell, just because of the price for Atwell. So I went ahead and picked up Atwell. I have Thielen again, Waddle, Goddard as a tight end. I think Goddard, just 4,800. It just to me is just like he has a high top end, and so they went to him a lot last game, and so I'm just like,
and they said they were going to be needing to get him involved, and immediately did. So hopefully it continues.
And then was my flex Kirk and
Kirk.
Vikings again.
Very nice. All right. Tournament lineup. Let's see. Ooh, I clicked on the wrong one. Sorry, one sec. All right, tournament lineup going a little bit different, but actually sticking with some of the main characters. We all like Stafford this week, so this is my lineup with Stafford as the tournament lineup. Mostert, I just can't keep out of the lineup. There's just no reason to. I love Ken Walker, I love Chase, and I love Kupp, so I put them all in there. Again, this time for my cheap wide receiver, I went with Wilson, the rookie from Arizona. For 3,800, I think he's good. He's a bit of a steal there. He should be able to outperform that price. Went for a bit of a long shot here at tight end, which I tend to do. But Cade Otton, Mr. Cotton, is going against Detroit, which is the 29th ranked defense for tight ends. And Kate Otten has been a little bit more involved lately. I don't know. If he can get, 5 catches and maybe a touchdown, I'd be thrilled. Chuba Hubbard is too cheap at 4,300, and the Browns are 22. What can you do? That's how you fit all the big receivers in.
That's how you do it. Stars and scrubs.
That's it.
All right, and mine is kind of similar in some of the auxiliary pieces on my lineup. But at quarterback, I've got Justin Fields at 7,300.
Yep.
I went back to the well with Kamara at 6,800. I like Alexander Madison today at 5,600. At receiver, I'm stacking with my quarterback, DJ Moore. We talked about this earlier. He's $6,500 on DraftKings is just too cheap for what he's been doing. It's
For who?
DJ Moore.
Oh, yeah.
For what he's been doing, $6,500 is just way too cheap. He has, for what you hope for like a 3x to 5x return points to the amount of dollars that you spend, and he's given you a more than 5x 2 consecutive weeks, and is still sub $7,000, which is rare. It tells you that DraftKings isn't in yet. Then also I've got Cooper Kupp again at 9,000, and then one of my favorite plays of the day is Josh Downs at $4,100.
I was kind of surprised he wasn't in your other lineup.
The other one was cash.
Yeah.
So, and my strategy in cash is to try and guarantee the 3x, and my strategy in tournaments is to try and get the guy who could maybe be number one.
Shoot the moon
in his position. Yeah. And then at tight end, again, Logan Thomas. And at flex, again, I've got Drake London. I really like that game. I think it's going to be high scoring. And I think these are the two ways that the teams are going to beat each other. And then I've got the Browns again at $2,200 because it's just too cheap.
Yep.
Like there are not a lot of great options. There were like 3 of them, and they're all $3,900 or more this week. So I would just that, and let me see, another option that people might be looking at would be the Buccaneers are at home. The Buccaneers are at home. Jared Goff doesn't traditionally put up a bunch of points, so you don't expect the Lions to score 30 today. And the Buccaneers are a veteran defense.
And how much are they?
That can score. They're 2,300.
Okay, yeah, no, that's a good option.
That would be, if I wasn't going to play the Browns, that's who I would play.
Yeah.
And that is that.
If I had $100 more, I'd probably just play Tampa Bay, but I don't.
I had 2. So
did you?
In both my lineups, I had $200 left over.
Oh, I spent the max. All right.
I think we covered everything.
Good luck this week, everybody. Hopefully you all win. We didn't get too many questions this week, so hopefully you have your lineups all set and ready to go. Good luck. We'll be here again next week.
Crush it, guys.
Later.
Love it.